This is furnished by BC Hydro with their incredible logo that hopefully we'll show you in some videos. And it's looking at different situations we can run into related to electrical safety. Number one, overloaded circuits. So here we have a nice home, and all of a sudden someone's gone a little crazy and plugged in what looks like in the neighborhood of 6 things into 2 sockets. So we have some questions. How many plugs go into one outlet? Can other things go in outlets? Is there a correct way to pull out a cord from the wall? Well, each outlet has a rating. If exceeded, can cause fires, so be careful. Do not overload. And we've talked about overload earlier. Do not put anything into an outlet except the plug, so that's not the place to go sticking little pieces of wire in or a fork. And when disconnecting an appliance, pull by the plug, not the cord. A lot of people get lazy, pull by the cord, and that eventually will damage the plug. Let's go looking for another picture. Wires in the home. Okay, quite a fancy room. Looks like someone has had a wee one. And they've decided to teach their child to eat. Not the best thing. So let's see what's going on here. Where should I put cords? What should I do if someone is electrocuted? Can I use old cords? Well, these are pretty simple to answer. So do not put cords under carpets. They will get worn, you'll wipe out the insulation, and then all of a sudden you now have an electrical hazard. If the child in the photograph is electrocuted and you touch her, you will also become a victim. You'll become a path to ground. In fact, you may want to have a broom handy so you can knock the person to safety, not to be mean, but you've got to keep yourself from becoming part of the easiest path to ground. So you do not want to touch them directly, and you need to touch with an insulator if you're going to knock them to safety. And of course, don't use cords or plugs that show wear or damage. Unfortunately, some of our devices may, so we gradually try to repair those. Down power lines. So after a windstorm, you might see down power lines. And even if you get close without touching them, you're still in danger. So here's the situation. A power pole fallen on, and all of a sudden we have these lines lying around. So where does electricity go when power lines touch something? Well, first of all, they're going to go to the ground, and then they're going to go outwards. What do I do if I'm standing close to a down power line? I would say don't, but anyways. So it says electricity is going to flow to the ground and then spread out in concentric circles, like if you threw a rock into a pond and then the waves go outwards. That's what happens. You go from higher voltage to lower voltage. And the lower voltage is the danger zone. So that must be our danger sound in the background. So electricity flowing along power lines can move from the wire to whatever is nearby, including people. So you want to stay at least 10 meters away. And 10 meters is the magic distance when there's a power line on the ground. And if you're closer than that, then you have to hop or shuffle to safety, making sure that your feet are always together so you don't get a voltage difference between them. And that's what it's going to talk about. And we'll talk about these things like step and touch potential later on. See if we have any more pictures. We do. Trees. Here's Junior's, hopefully going upwards. And of course now we have lines running through trees. Is it dangerous trees touch power lines? Can I tell if the tree is dangerous? The first answer is yes. It can be a path to ground. And it does say that you can't just look at a tree and know it's a problem necessarily. So be very careful if you're near trees that are near power lines. Okay, have I got anything else? We do. Substations and transformers. So here's a substation. Of course, we have one by the 6th Avenue ballpark. It looks a bit like that. Safe to be around the fence places, where the hydro lines come from, and what are those metal boxes. So let's get there. Stay away from substations. And we have pad mount transformers. And we've talked about transformers increasing or decreasing the voltage. In this case, they're likely to decrease the voltage. Anything else? Power line and kites. You might have seen that 3-year-old getting flung around by a kite. So kites just by their nature are dangerous, but obviously if you're near power lines, they can become a path to ground. So electricity is always looking for the path to ground, and if a kite touches a wire, it says overhead power lines are not insulated, so if they're touching them, then you may have electricity conducting through the string to the ground. So if you touch it, you will become part of that circuit. So don't touch it. Bathroom appliances. Don't drop your hairdryer or toaster into the sink or into the bathtub, especially if it's plugged in. And so do not plug things in near bathroom sink. If something is not turned on, can it still be dangerous? And the answer is yes. Electricity can still be flowing. And little buttons are for the GFCI that we've talked about earlier. Working outside the home. So if you're dropping trees and branches, that's already dangerous. And then if you're near power lines, that's dangerous too. So you got to be careful. Electric lawnmowers, you definitely want to have them grounded. So if you hit some water and things, you will not have as great a risk of being electrocuted. And what else? That's it. We don't want to go to kindergarten grade 3. So that's BC Hydro, providing diagrams and answering questions.